I sat in 9 county jails on the way to my federal facility. I'm originally from Oakland, grew up in Oakland, went to high school in Berkeley. My journey through athletics took me up to the state of Montana. In 2008, medical cannabis came around legal on the ballot. So one of my roommates and myself decided to get in. We grew that business to 5 dispensaries and 2 large cultivation facilities. I was the largest. They have a caregiver model. So I ended up being the largest caregiver in the state of Montana from 2008, the end of 2008, up to November 16th of 2011, when the DEA came in and raided us. They indicted me and 7 others, co-defendants, my attorney, my accountant, head cultivators, the whole upper echelon of the organization. And, look, we were city licensed, state licensed, and I didn't feel that I was doing nothing wrong. I was following state law to the T, so I elected to fight them as long as I could before, as all of you know, they don't run out of time or money. And in my situation, I ran out of money and could not continue to go at the federal government, although we were able to fight it for 23 months in hopes that, Obama at that time had released, Obama and Eric Holder had came out with the memo. I forget which one it was, but we tried to string it out as long as we could in hopes that there would have been some other federal intervention, which never happened. So I went through trial. They added on additional charges with the gun counts and the money counts. I was able to beat one of those at trial, so I ended up getting sentenced on 2 out of the 3 counts that I was indicted on. The judge that sat on my case was my only saving grace. By right and definition of federal law, I should have too went to prison for 10 years. The district judge, his comment that I'll never forget is, I sat on this case for 2 years of my life, and if I could send you home today, I would, but I have to give you some sort of jail time. So he gave me a year on each count. That sentence was then appealed to the Ninth Circuit here in San Francisco by the prosecution. The prosecution, by right and by definition, was correct that I should have received 10 years. So they agreed with the prosecution. They sent that back to the district judge. This time I had already went through my prison sentence. I was in the halfway house. I was back home. I was working, and the marshals came and picked me up again and held me again in the county jail for 3 more months. And I went back to resentencing, fully ready to go, back through the whole process and be down for 8 more years. And the district judge said he was so upset that they appealed the sentence because the case was bullshit, and that he reduced my sentence from 24 to 21 months. And what that effectively did was kick me right out of the halfway house and send me straight on probation. At that time, the athletic department at the University of Montana reached out. All this stuff was in the newspaper and whatnot, and they offered me a chance to go back to school and finish my degree with an athletic scholarship, in which I did. And after I completed my second degree there, I went back in front of the judge and told him, look, I'm trying to move home to California, and I would rather not have to go home on probation. It's very difficult to secure employment. And so I had a 48-month sentence, but he cut me loose after 16 months on probation. So, in my particular case, as much as it sucked, the district judge up there really, was the fair voice, I guess, in an unfair system. I was the only Black provider in the entire state. Granted, we were big, but there was just a lot of clear reasons as to why this U.S. attorney and the DEA agents kind of really came after us. After my affiliation to my brothers and my family here in Oakland, and all of the allegations I'm sure you guys can imagine about the drug trafficking and the involvement and all these sorts of crimes. So that's my story. Now we're back. I've been back in cannabis since I left Montana, and this plant is provided for myself, my family. It's become my life, when before it wasn't a part of my life at all. I was strictly an athlete, 100%. I didn't consume, I didn't do any of that. But once you have the experience, these intimate experiences that you had with cannabis, it really reshapes how you think of it. And once you hear the stories, and when I saw my first patient come into the dispensary fresh out of chemotherapy and hear her testimony, that was when it changed it for me. And that's where I was in forever. Been in since, and don't see any change coming.